Alrighty, for those that are here live, this will be a little weird, but I'm recording this section to make a shorter segment that is just around the actual reveal. But hello internet friends, my name is Bay. We are starting with the World of Warcraft reveal for expansion 10.0. And let's just turn the volume up a little bit and let's see what happens. Okay. Right into a trailer. Recap trailer, probably. I mean, also, I didn't even talk about this. World of Warcraft has an incredible cinematics team. You're watching it all on screen right now. The pre-rendered or the in-game cutscenes are something that does separate WoW from...
For the Alliance!
Wait, what? What? I want to close captioning on, but why is it not on English? Hello? Subtitles German. There we go. No. There we go.
For Azeroth!
Like that is still a huge thing that WoW does. That I don't think any other MMO does the same way. Their cinematics and cutscenes are...
Hi everyone, I'm John Haidt, General Manager for Warcraft, and with me today are my friends Ian Hazekoff.
Yeah, so it's all pre-recorded.
Director for World of Warcraft.
Let's just press play.
Longdale, who leads
a big keynote.
the production team for WoW Classic. I really appreciate you tuning in. I know we're really excited to be able to give you updates on what's happening in World of Warcraft.
Volume okay, everybody?
I want to thank our community for all the feedback you've given us this year, and especially our community council. You've helped shape and influence the updates that we've done recently and what you're going to see in the upcoming year.
I mean, really, for Shadowlands in particular,
turn up a little more.
The story of the last 9 months or so of this expansion is all about the community, and it's shaped by what we've been hearing from them, and us realizing as a team that
some of it has been
needed to do a better job.
Some of it has been
making sure the community felt heard, and so that led us to the changes we made in 9.15. But also
Valor.
Examining some
He's talking about Valor
and foundations of World of Warcraft, about things like character investment and mains versus alts, or how catch-up should work, or the appropriate role of friction in our systems.
Loot.
And I think 9.15 represented a step in the direction of letting players have more freedom to play World of Warcraft the way they want to play it. And we really built our Eternity's End content update from the ground up around those principles.
What are some of the
people say 9.2 feels good?
Said that influenced your decisions for Eternity's End?
Things like the method and pacing of acquisition of the Covenant Legendary item, tons of tuning, and I think every step of the way, we were listening to make sure that we were carrying forward those lessons learned in the course of 9.15 into Eternity's End and beyond.
So WoW Classic came about because of the community.
Yeah, they continue to help guide and support us as Classic evolves.
World of Warcraft has always been about the world and the players that inhabit it, and we are in a lot of ways curators and caretakers of that journey and of that experience. And so once this Classic community formed and grew, we had to listen to them.
It's this tide of
is WoW Classic and Burning Crusade
attention to what is a good
like, are the player numbers good
now? And where we
they
really
actually
saw
like
a sea change in this
strong
idea is with our Season of Mastery realm, which is a Season of Fresh Start Classic. And initially we were talking about it like it was going to be like a fresh start. Let's try this experiment in a season. It'll be about a year long. And then when the community found out about it, we started seeing this upswell.
Yeah, the team just took that idea and ran with it and turned, what had started out as a small community project into this Soul of Iron system that became a centerpiece of Season of Mastery and a whole new opt-in hardcore mode that we've seen communities built around. Lots of, thrilling victory and painful defeat.
5 hours. I made it 5 hours.
Yeah, and it continues.
That does seem quite cool for the hardcore players.
We
I love that game.
The Paladin seals between Horde and Alliance, so we made an addition there. We wouldn't have gotten there without the community's input.
So, influence the community. You've got another update and pretty significant controversial change for this.
Yeah, cross-faction play coming in 9.25. which is on a public test realm now.
We've only been talking about it for like 3 years.
Kyle's faction. You're breaking with a 17-year tradition.
Yeah, it's something. It was not
Yes.
an easily made decision by any means. You know, and I think this is another one of those areas where really we try to take to heart community feedback and requests and ask ourselves as a team whether there's a way to accommodate such an earnestly held desire and still feel like we're being true to the roots of the game. I think players desire to play with their friends who might prefer a different
That's
faction,
so much more
or to play
important
with the
than the
faction
lore
they
of the
more closely
game.
identify with, even though their raid group is elsewhere.
It's really important for me. I play a lot of alts, and I love absorbing the story for each race, and having that ability to play with all of my friends across factions is fantastic.
At the end of the day, the battle cry is for the Horde. It's not against the Alliance. It's not death to the Alliance. It's about pride in one's faction. And I think there's a way to preserve that and even strengthen that while giving players the ability to make the same choice we've seen the greatest heroes make time and time again.
I can't wait to do this. I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I never knew had a max level character in the other faction suddenly come out of the woodwork.
And then, you know, with these cross-faction groups, many of them are going to be diving into something new that we're doing to kind of cap off Shadowlands, a Season 4. Kind of a remix.
Yep.
A little bit,
Season 4 with cross-faction play.
All of our raid zones across the
I didn't bring that up earlier. That's actually, you know, that's
familiar older favorites into the Mythic Plus rotation. And, you know, we recognize
Yeah,
this is
Grimrail
kind of
Depot.
a closing chapter, a little bit of a send-off to Shadowlands. As everyone gets ready for what happens next, what will come next, want to give, you know, a fun new challenge for everyone to sink their teeth into.
Really cool stuff for modern WoW players. I'm super excited about the gear.
I like the
upgrades
set
you're
that they're
gonna give me and the
recording in.
chance to go back and play some of those awesome raids.
There's a lot to explore. Very exciting.
For our next adventure in World of Warcraft, we're going to go back to Azeroth. We're going to a space with high fantasy. I mean, our fans of Azeroth for a long time. This has been kind of the foundation of much of the lore of WoW. So without further ado, let's watch the cinematic.
all right. Here's the cinematic, I guess. High fantasy dragons. Money on dragons. Who's got money on dragons? And before we're all wrong.
The world has been sundered.
Dragons?
It cries out in pain. We must go to its aid. We entrust our ancestral home to you, the Watchers.
That's deep lore.
Let the land slumber, hidden even from our own eyes. You will feel our return in the waking of the land. Then you must light the beacon of Tyrhold, lest the path home be lost to us forever.
I like the design. That's cool. How is this stone boy got such an emotional face, but he hasn't made any emotes? Must protect stone boy. So Worldforged, whatever they're called. Titanforged. dang. Go, Stone Boy, go! Ooh. This is precursive flash these watchers. Oh no. There she is. So who had dragons? That was pretty Infinity War Thor. I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
The world is healing. But her fate is yet uncertain.
The dragons aren't all powerful anymore, though. They're mortal, right? Or semi-immortal? Look at that model, though.
Together, we shall be Azeroth's protectors once again. Here, the new age of dragons shall begin.
Yep, there it is. Look at the logo. It's got wings. Look at that. Not the logo that was leaked, so...
Dragons!
Dragons.
Dragons!
This is so cool.
No one saw it coming.
No one saw it coming. Carefully kept secret. But seriously, I mean, what did we just see there?
The awakening of the Dragon Isles, the return of dragons.
Dragons are
The
cool.
dawn of a new age. Right, we've seen Rathian searching.
Dragons
for
are cool.
his father's
I mean-
legacy, searching for the Dragon Isles.
Cool.
There's a reason why he hasn't been able to find them until now.
The beacon going off, is that summoning the dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the Dragon Isles from the world, but also beckoning the dragons back urgently.
It's a bit Mists of Pandaria, though.
I
Mists of
assume
Pandaria had the
Pretty
same
good
kind of
variety
magic, right?
Locales within the Dragon Isles?
Yes, the Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of 5 zones,
5
4
zones.
standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone that we'll get to in a second.
Can you talk a little bit about how the team found ways to thread the dragon aspects throughout the environments?
The Dragon Isles are a place that is lush and primal.
Each zone is based on a color.
As Azeroth herself reawakens, those primal forces are expressed throughout the environment, whether it's magma activity, volcanic activity, whether it's the icy wastes of the Azure span. And each one of those has
I mean,
a
art
connection
team.
to a Dragonflight that we've seen before. And it's going to be an amazing place for players to arrive at and explore.
All right, you know I'm going to ask.
Yes, okay, so
Can I be a dragon?
let's start getting into some features here and what Dragonflight means for you as well as just a place. So first off, yes, we have an all-new playable race.
Okay, new playable race.
Dracthyr race.
Okay, Dracthyr.
This is
So the leak was right.
a draconic race.
Yep, there it is.
Dragons in Warcraft have the ability to take on
Worgen-esque.
human form.
Worgen model.
What classes can they be?
Okay.
They have unique abilities as literally a dragon. That doesn't quite fit any of our existing classes. And
Okay.
So what we're doing
Invoker?
is this is not just a new race.
Question
but
mark?
it's also a new class. You know, adding a new race to World of Warcraft, and not just an allied race, is something that we don't do lightly. But telling this expansion, this story, so focused around dragons, felt like the perfect time for it.
Okay.
So if you are a Dracthyr, you will be the
Evoker.
Evoker class. Dracthyr can only be Evokers.
No N.
Evokers can only be Dracthyr. And the reason why only a
Okay.
Dracthyr could be an Evoker is that an Evoker is really combining the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects with the unique physical gifts that a Dracthyr has. The ability to actually take flight,
That's
do
still
an Onyxia
cool.
style strafing deep breath over the battlefield, land on the other side, knock everyone back with a wing buffet, and then unleash your magical abilities.
Yes, please.
The Evoker has 2 specializations. They're a hybrid of either range DPS or healer, and they wear mail armor.
Okay.
We figured, with the new hero classes we've added over the years, we have enough melee. We don't need more of those, and also probably don't need any more.
So new range DPS, first time in 17 years.
Exactly. This is definitely a hero class, and so that means that like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to have a slightly different journey into the Dragon Isles as opposed to the rest of us that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
Can you talk a little bit about the customizations? Like what is going to be able to identify my Dracthyr character?
Basically anything and everything. Skin color, hair color, jewelry, tattoos, other
So that
adornments.
that leak of the human model was not wrong.
In Azeroth.
New zone, new class,
Yep.
new race. Well, tell us about some of the system updates.
I mean, this expansion
Of course,
selling
a new
stuff.
expansion brings with it, new systems, new features. I think in recent expansions, one of the things we've tended to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind as we moved on.
We talked about that
And
earlier.
we've heard loud and clear from players that it's kind of a bummer to
Been
start
saying
off
it for
every new
6
expansion
years, Ian.
by
6
leaving
years.
a large part of your character behind,
At
leaving
least.
a large part of your progression behind. So this time around, what we're doing is really pouring all of our energy into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements to World of Warcraft's core systems. Things like
okay.
our progression systems, in this case, our talent system is something that we want to completely revamp. We want to take a look at
Ooh,
our
the talent
UI.
system
We want to
leaks
take a look at
real?
professions.
So with the talent revamp and the
Hmm.
arrival of Classic, did you learn anything about how our talents work?
I think seeing a new generation of players
And classic talents were
play
poop.
with those talents and work through those talent trees really underscored some of the things that frankly we lost when we shifted to the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond. A big piece
Goods
of
and
that
bads of
was
both.
some of just the granularity, the feeling of getting a level and spending a point to customize your character to make yourself a bit better in some specific way.
Yay, 1%
But
crit.
also,
1%
that
crit.
sense of hybridity
Woo.
that you could have. That's something that we've largely lost. And so the new talent system
So this is
avoids
real?
directly pitting player power throughput choices.
That leak was
directly
real?
Against those
Okay.
utility hybrid choices,
Okay.
because we know that there's always a right outcome there. And we also understand
Balancing
that, there's a lot of
nightmare?
strength in the flexibility of the modern talent system to let players customize their talents for a particular encounter or for dungeons versus
I mean, it'll be a
PvP.
cookie
We don't
cutter
lose
just like it
any
was
of
back then.
So John, UI?
Oh my God.
New
Yes,
base
I
UI
got
for the
this
game?
30-inch monitor, trying to keep track of where I am on the map, all my buffs, and over here, what's going on in chat.
This
It
might
has
look kinda
literally
cool.
made my eyes go like this. So
And you're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes and additions over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But really, this is a revamp. This is an overhaul. And so we're excited to really modernize the look and feel while staying true to the origins of.
I mean, I use
the
add-ons
Warcraft.
anyway,
At the
but
same time, we're not looking to take away the sort of power user customization there. Add-ons are still there if you want them.
Gotcha.
But we want a much better default out-of-the-box experience for all players, new and old alike.
and can I reduce elements, remove elements, if I want to explore the world
Oh.
and see the beauty of Azeroth?
When it comes to specific
oh.
elements, as much as possible, we want to let players choose.
Looks like
what to
default
show and
elf.
hide so that they can control it themselves.
You mentioned professions.
Man, that cut
I have
so
a critical
quick.
question about this.
We'll have to go back in the VOD.
Can I wear a chef's hat?
Yeah, I knew it.
Our approach to professions in Dragonflight is really all about delivering on fantasy and identity as a crafter.
Will crafting
And so
matter?
If you want to be a serious blacksmith, if you
Ooh,
want
look
to
at
be
that.
a great leather worker, we want to deliver the ability to invest time and energy into that, become a master crafter, be able to make
This
items
is Final
that are in
Fantasy
demand,
deriven.
interact with the community.
Crafting
One of the
in
big
Final
pieces that
Fantasy
we wanna
14
do
is
to support that is
nuts.
a new work order system to have a bit more convenience than just spamming trade chat all day. But if you are someone, you're not yourself
Work
a
orders?
blacksmith, but you
That's
have
cool.
a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats, offer a commission, and
Huh.
a skilled blacksmith can come along and make you the weapon of your dreams.
That's very
I think we'll just add one
MMO-esque.
thing, though.
That's what Star Wars
Be a Dracthyr,
Galaxies had
go to
back in the
Dragon
day.
Isles. Can I have a dragon?
Oh.
What's the fantasy of dragons if not soaring over the lands? And so we're really excited to introduce a feature that we're calling Dragonriding. It's
Dragonriding?
dynamic with everything from momentum to dive bombs,
Hmm.
ability to just sort of build that speed up and feel the world rushing past you in a way that should be much more
Oh.
exciting than traditional flight that we've made available
Flap,
in the past.
flap,
But that's
flap.
also available 4 players through a customizable dragon mount right from the start.
Oh,
This is a skill you learn over time, right? To become a
flying
awesome
from the
dragon
start?
rider.
Yes, you'll be able to sort of upgrade aspects of your flight, but you will have this new form of flight.
There's new
from the
physics.
start.
Look at the new
And
physics
the dragon
involved.
companion that you have is, of course, very thoroughly customizable, which is a new thing for us for mounts. This is not just a generic dragon that everyone has, but a drake that is yours. You know, what do you want its scales to look like? Horns, the shape of its head, other
Basically just
attachments,
any
armor
flying
pieces,
dragon
more.
model
Take your
skeleton.
pick.
This
Okay.
is so cool.
So yeah, so the Dragonflight expansion is going to see players leveling to 70.
Level
going
increase,
to the
though.
all-new continent of the Dragon Isles, which
So 10
consists of
levels.
5 zones, 4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone for our Dracthyr class, as well as a range of systems revamps, such as a new talent system,
New talent,
an
yeah.
overhaul and update to our UI, and an entirely fresh look at professions with more depth than ever before.
Questions is professions
Also
will be
getting around the
worth
Dragon
it.
Isles is going to come in the form of Dragonriding, which lets you customize and upgrade your own mount so that you can fly in a
And there's some cool looking dragon stuff they've
Of
shown
course,
off.
as with any
That's
new
neat.
expansion, we have a new set of dungeons, a raid, and much more to come.
We also have an alpha that will be starting up in the future.
Check out our website for more information and keep an eye out for those opt-in signups if you want to help us test out Dragonflight and give us even more feedback to make it better.
We do have a deep dive
Fair
that
enough.
follows this, so please stay around. Classic players, we haven't forgotten about you.
Yep, here comes
You can
Wrath.
probably guess where we're going to go next.
Yeah.
One of the all-time favorite expansions for World of Warcraft. Let's watch the cinematic.
Is it a new cinematic for Wrath of the Lich King? Remastered one, maybe? It's just a title reveal, looks like. Yeah, title reveal with a lot of cool sound bits. That's Frostmourne. Oh,
My son, the day you were born, the very forests of Ohn'ahran whispered the name Arthas.
I mean, you can't deny the pogs for Arthas.
When my days have come to an end,
Hey, look, there's a dragon in Wrath too. That's why it was good, right?
you shall be king.
Is that new dialogue or just like a new recording? So that's 2022 November, sort of on the anniversary. Yes, the logo was
It's just
okay.
incredible, isn't it? Every time I see the cinematic, I get chills.
Very
No
good,
pun
very good.
intended, I get chills. As you saw, Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming this year. It brings back so many memories. When you see that cinematic, what do you remember from Wrath of the Lich King?
Anytime you want to talk about undead frozen dragons, how can you not go back to Sindragosa as the source? That was the first expansion I played with my youngest son. So I can remember on that platform, black goo and chunks of ice falling off and having to repeat that battle.
Yep, I have
with
my
the Lich King
old
when we finally
old
down it.
footage
It
from
was such an
Arthas back in the day.
incredible moment. He jumped up out of his
It's
room,
4
I
by
jumped up out
3,
of my
like
office, we're like,
not even
"Yeah!"
720p resolution.
So
Just
it's a
awful.
very lasting tale.
Just
for me.
awful.
So as
Old,
you know,
old,
with
old
this
footage.
expansion, you will, in pre-patch, be able to play the Death Knight. They will start at level 55. You don't have to have a high-level character to make a Death
OG
Knight, so
Wrath Lich King
everyone will
Death
be able
Knight,
to make
though.
one.
We're excited
Tempting.
to give players some time before Wrath officially launches.
That
to get
slower
geared up
play
and ready to
style.
jump into North like everybody else.
Yeah.
And there are so many zones and areas to explore.
That's the
in
old map.
Northland, and I want us to talk about some of our favorites. So for me, Grizzly Hills has a very special place in my heart. The music was some of the best I've experienced in World of Warcraft.
I
True,
still
true.
Make my way all the way up to
Many
Storm
people
Peaks
are
to
saying
try and
this.
Find the time lost proto-drake and have yet to get it.
I've got to say, Dragonflight.
Poor John,
The
time
wide
lost
open nature of the
proto-drake.
zone, Wormrest Temple in the center of it. It's an unforgettable expansion as both a developer and a player, and kind of making that transition from one to the other.
Now let's talk about some changes. So one thing we looked at is Dungeon
Well,
Finder. And
the
it feels
troublesome
like
parts of
how we
OG
envision
Death Knight will be
Classic,
nerfed
Dungeon Finder
on
is not
Gate
a good
because it's
fit
not going
for
to be
our
launch
community.
patch.
That
It'll be
was
a later
first step
patch.
that may have eroded some of that social
So it's probably
fabric.
going to be
Now,
only
as people
blood
have gone through
for
the experience
tanking.
of going back to vanilla, rebuilding those
I
groups,
imagine.
relying on each other, not wanting necessarily a random participant just to show up and then leave.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But today, you can do that in Shadowlands. You'll be able to do that in Dragonflight. It's a self-selected group of people who specifically want that different experience.
Yes.
Let's make sure that's what we continue to give them.
That leads right
It's
into
fair enough.
arena teams in Burning Crusade Classic. So we listen to the community and we remove that because individual rating is preferable and a better experience for them than arena teams. Also, with
It didn't
Wrath of the
exist
Lich
back in
King,
the day.
Barbershop, which allows you to customize your character. We're going to be adding a few more options that were not existing when Wrath launched, but also there's another side of this where
Okay.
we are
More
not gonna
customization
charge
in
a
the
real
Wrath
money
update?
fee. It was a paid character customization fee, right?
Yeah.
It seems the right thing to do that just be available in game for gold and we add more options to it, right?
It's sort of like spell batching in a sense. There's a lot of
You wanna roll that forward for the rest of the game?
Philosophy of what makes classic classic and what brings
The
people
MTX
together.
in WoW
It's
is also
what's
just
the better
absorbently
experience
expensive
and
for no
let's not
reason.
artificially restrict something that we
What does
can
it cost to do
provide
like a
better
race
version of
change in
just
World of
for the sake
Warcraft? Like
nostalgia.
20 bucks?
This
What the
is-
hell is
we're happy to
so
say this is one of
expensive,
those
man?
cases.
So damn expensive.
Wrath, the level cap's being increased to level 80, so we'll be introducing a level 70 boost so that players who want to get in with their friends or just explore Northrend right away will be able to do that. You can apply
And those
to
are a
Death
little-
Knight,
little
but
too
you won't be able to
expensive.
use it otherwise. And of course, we have Inscription, a whole new
Yeah, I have to
profession,
check.
so
When
we're
was the
really
blood
excited about
only
that. Yeah,
Death
and
Knight
as
tanking?
we
Was that
continue
in Wrath?
this road
Late Wrath or
to
after? Yeah.
We're going to be looking to
don't remember.
getting a lot more feedback on beta, and we'll make changes as we need to.
It was freaking
Such an
2008.
exciting time to be
So-
playing World of Warcraft. We have the return of the Wrath of the Lich King for classic fans,
Which is neat.
and taking us somewhere new with Dragonflight. We're so excited.
Was it
to be
during the
able to
tournament
bring these
patch?
Adventures to you.
It's on the wiki.
Don't forget, there's a deep dive on Dragonflight where you're going to get a lot more information. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and we'll see you in Azeroth.
Thanks,
And
John.
We'll see you in Northrend.
And in the Dragon Isles.
All right, Dragonflight deep dive. So now systems and stuff. Weaving the story.
Hi there.
I mean,
Welcome to the Dragonflight Deep Dive.
Hi, Taryn.
I'm Steve Denuser.
And I'm Taryn Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting and the story of Dragonflight.
I still
We've got
love this
great expansion,
the set they're recording in.
Pre-rendered trailer that everyone just watched. So let's talk about the setting for Dragonflight, the Dragon Isles.
Can we get some
Dragon
pogs
Isles
in
have
chat
been
for Taryn?
Known for a long time in Warcraft history as a mysterious place where the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
Yeah,
We're going to
Taryn-
this place
Taryn
that
got
is
promoted.
Kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they nested, where they built their civilization. The Dragon Isles was the center of the Dragon's kingdom when the world was young and
the
mortal
old
races
map.
were just starting to form kingdoms of their own. But when the Legion invaded for that War of the Ancients, that sundering that resulted from the explosion.
I really
of
don't
the
want
Well
to
of
jump on the
Eternity,
Literal
the Steve
literal
Denuser
sundering
hate
of the
train.
continents of Azeroth.
and
But hopefully-
because of the breaking of the world, that
Hopefully,
magic
because this
kind
is
of
old
drains
lore,
away,
this
the
is stuff
land
that's
went
been
dormant,
very
so the
established. It's not like super changed.
They left behind some Titan
That's been some of the issues with the past two expansions. But probably not even Steve's fault. At least not all of it. Every author or creative person's going to have their own take on the story, but obviously it changed hands a few different times during the process,
Now
so...
it's the time for the sky to light up with the colors of the aspects once again, and for Alex Straza and the others to come home. But the land has changed a lot in all these thousands of years they've been away, and some very old threats have awakened as well.
We're looking into the culture of dragons as they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons as we know them today were very different in the early past, the early history of Azeroth. They were much more primitive.
Like,
much
that'll
more
be fun to
savage,
learn about.
what we now
Yeah, it's
know as
Galakrond.
proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons
He
were
wasn't
empowered to
mentioned.
become the aspects. The green flight, red
His
flight,
bones
blue
are in
flight, bronze flight,
frickin',
black flight, each with unique
in the
powers,
damn
each with the
snow.
ability to protect the world in different ways. These pillars of draconic power appointed to defend Azeroth from threats within and without.
Dragons used that power both for good, in the case of most of the aspects,
Right.
but also for nefarious reasons, in the case of the Black Dragonflight, led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will
Well,
find in
some of the Black
Dragonflight
Dragonflight.
is that some of these ancient divisions run deep. And so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be the protectors, as the cinematic mentioned, that they once were.
To do that, they're going to need the help of our
I need
heroes,
like
our
the full
players,
HD render
to
of
come
that
to the
cinematic.
Dragon
It's probably
Isles with
online
them
by now.
and face some of these reawakening challenges, because it's not just that this land is peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well.
Yeah.
One
Okay.
of those being a race of kind of elemental half-giants, the Jaredin.
The Dragon Isles isn't just
Elemental
populated by
half-giants.
dragons or just by the Jaredin. There's also many other occupants here in the Dragon Isles. They've been here either just recently or
It's a woolly mammoth.
including a fan favorite coming back, the Tuskar.
That's going to be awesome. We've got other cultures
Tuskar, but
there
not a
as well
playable
in the
race?
Dragon Isles. We're going to find out about a
Just
civilization of
Tuskar
centaurs
villages?
that predates the ones that arose on Kalimdor much later.
And some of our
Dude, look at the
favorite
environmental
characters that we've
team.
seen over
Oh
the
my
last few
God.
expansions, such as Rathian.
And whether he's ready to step up into a leadership role, or if there are other alternatives out there that would be better suited to the job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
I think one thing the players are going to be really excited about this expansion is the new playable race, the Dracthyr.
That's right.
And this is something that Neltharion, before he was Deathwing, before he went full crazy world dragon, that he put into motion.
Neltharion saw those.
So this is new
primalists
lore.
that were kind of breaking away from the aspects.
That's why I
of
was
what
saying, hopefully they don't
wanted.
change all
And
this
so,
lore,
in those
but
first
this is
experiments,
clearly new.
He took the essence of dragons, their strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that adaptability that the mortal races had, and he wanted to use that to create the ideal soldier in his mind, the Dracthyr.
Now we did get
Exploration is really one of the key
Draconids,
themes
like
of this
Blackwing Lair
expansion.
and stuff,
We're
part
gonna
of his
be going to
experiments. So this
ancient
is
place that
this is
the
obviously
dragons left
thousands of years
behind
before
long
that.
ago. So we've made these huge zones with all kinds of places to delve into and find little treasures and little
Reasons
secrets tucked
for
away. It's gonna be
flying?
a lot of fun for players to be exploring these landscapes.
Design
And
your
there's
content
so
with
much
flying in mind.
Architectural history and how clearly aspirational was the kingdom of the dragons and how it
Environmental
lost
team.
so much. And the themes of trying to
Killing it.
return to that, to try to find your legacy, to try to figure out who you were before everything went awry. But there's questions, you know, thematic questions of what does it mean to be true to your legacy? Are we going to repeat the mistakes of the past?
The dragons have had to learn those lessons just like the mortal kingdoms have had to. And I think that's one of the reasons why the dragons see this now as the time that they
Okay,
have to
okay.
return and they have to step up once again as protectors.
Oh yeah,
of
art
Azeroth.
department for
We're
World of
helping the
Warcraft is
dragons because
just
the dragons
always
have helped us in the past too. So
on
by
fire.
using the Explorers League
Killing
and
it.
the Reliquary together, that allows us to delve into some of that history.
And when I look, you know, upon the Dragon Isles and all of its visual splendor, I get so excited for the prospect of a truly Azerothian adventure alongside Caligos.
Whoa,
along with
Caligos
Rathian
model
and
update!
Thorn,
Ah!
Sarah's daughter
You saw it
Marissa,
there for like
as each
12
one of them is
frames.
Trying to find
Holy
their
crap.
own flight. I am taken.
Justice
by
for
the
Caligos. Look at that boy.
exploration and Potential for adventure and
We'll
just
scroll back
new
later. I'm gonna have to
horizons
find
within
it
this
again.
world.
There's going to be old stories.
There'll
from
be a
that time
screenshot on, like,
past,
Wowhead
that
or something.
history that only the dragons knew for the longest time. We're going to be able to explore that.
It really feels like just a breath of fresh air.
So now we're going to turn things over to some of our colleagues who will take you on that deep dive into the locations and the features of Dragonflight.
I mean, I'm all about the systems and features. The story is cool and all, but WoW
Hello, I'm
really
Stephanie.
isn't like a story
I'm Josh.
game
I'm Jackie.
the same way.
I'm Gary. And we're part of the teams that are building the first two zones that you'll encounter in the Dragon Isles, the Waking Shore and the Ohn'ahran Plains. The very
Cool.
first zone in Dragonflight you're going to come to is the Waking Shores. It's wild, untamed land. It's waking up around
Jana gonna be
you,
looking to
and
get
the
back with her
elements are
axe after
just
that glow up. Woo!
Our team again has
Woo.
hit it out of the park.
You'll see like a lava mountain flowing in through the beach, giant proto-dragons swooping down, gobbling up members of your expedition.
We have such
Yeah, how are there
bright
still
opportunities
proto drakes and
to
proto
show
dragons?
elementals rising up
Question
because
mark?
of the crazy magic that's flying around.
I just
The one
thought
thing
of
I
that.
love is just how you get to the Dragon Isles, right? So you're going to get on your boat in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the first thing you do is sail between like the dragon ruin architectures. The boats.
Yeah,
come
where-
right
how far
alongside
away
each
is the
other.
island?
You can jump from one boat to the other and just start causing havoc on the other faction's boat.
For those who love PvP, this is a great opportunity for war mode.
It's free for all out there. It's going to be great. But it's okay. There's an innkeeper on the beach. So that
They're still doing the whole Horde versus Alliance stuff, even though it's cross-play, cross-faction play for like instant stuff.
League are working together.
Still weird.
Horde and Alliance
I guess
are sending
whatever.
an expedition together. It's not the military. It's not the soldiers. This is the scientists, the settlers, exploring this new land. So it's a lot more optimistic tone.
One of my favorite things about the Waking
well,
Shores
there's that.
is the Red Dragonflight, led by Queen
Oh, there's that
Thaldraszus,
art,
the
so
Life Finder.
it
They
wasn't
have
wrong.
the mandate of
So that sucks.
nurturing and protecting all life, which means Horde and Alliance,
That someone leaked it,
warlocks,
if it's real.
trolls, everybody.
And it looks like
so
it was
they take that duty seriously. When the
not a one for
Horde and
one,
Alliance
but
come to the Waking Shores, they want to be there
that's
to
super
help
annoying.
guide the people through the new land and welcome them. But they're not the only one in the Waking Shores.
We have the ancestral home of the Black Dragonflight there too, which has fallen on tough times since Deathwing's descent. And so Rathian's coming over to the Isles with us, and he's going to try and
Aren't there
come to
only like
terms with the
3
state of
black
the
dragons?
Dragonflight, which is a few loyal Draconids and Dragon Spawn trying to hold their ground. What can the future of the Dragonflight be if it's just Rathian?
Yeah.
Because it's not just the dragons that are coming back to the Dragon Isles, but also their longtime rival, the Jarden.
I love the Jarden so much. They're half giants that wield the power of magma, and when the Waking Shores and the Dragon Isles
Is that
went to
new-
slumber, they also slumbered. They're back now.
That new
and
fire
they are
animation?
ready to raise chaos.
Yeah, they're massive. They're riding giant lava mammoths, parading around, just stomping on your face.
And they were the enemies of the Dragonflight for so long. They fought against the Red Dragonflight, hunted dragons down, and they're really taking
Yeah, well, this is all new lore, right?
As the Red Dragonflight,
This
have
whole
the
half-giant
mandate of nurturing
Dragon War
life,
stuff,
they
it's
don't
all
wanna
new.
just stomp out the Jarden.
Never heard of it
completely,
before.
But they want to make sure that they don't have the power to affect those around them negatively, to make sure they don't go on a rampage and destroy the ecosystem that has been created here.
And so those are awesome things in the Waking Shore, but Steph, there really is
so
only
cool.
one right answer for the best thing in Waking Shores, right?
What?
This is true. Ducks.
We finally have those webbed feet hooligans in our game. We
The
crafted
meme has
technology.
become real.
Figure it out. They can
They're
fly.
ducks.
You should be proud.
Thank you.
It's gonna be awesome.
Ducks
The Ohn'ahran
confirmed.
Plains come right after the Waking Shores. It's so breathtaking at first glance.
The Ohn'ahran plains are big, wide open plains. And the player
You haven't
is
missed
going to be
anything yet,
constricted
Mia.
a little
You've
bit,
missed
and then
ducks.
you see this big contrast of a zone. We don't always get that opportunity, that cinematic moment where the player can have a framed view when they see this area.
Come out and you got that postcard shot
love
of
that.
the plains. And then
I mean, that's
this
just
giant fire proto dragon breathing
the
fire,
environmental team.
A herd of centaur like harpoon down the proto dragon and crash into the ground. And the first thing you get
Yeah,
to
how are
do
those
is
two
go help them
proto-dragons?
kill the proto dragon. Like how cool is that?
Interesting.
Who is Ohn'ahran?
Ohn'ahran is the wild god of the wind. And she's appeared before as like this big spirit eagle. She's the
Fair,
one who
yeah,
guided
yeah.
the centaur to the Dragon Isles many, many years ago. She blessed them, took their caravan across, and then showed them the plains.
How fun at the beginning of this expansion was exploring the culture of the centaur.
The centaur are these mighty, awesome hunters that back when they first came to the Dragon Isles, they fought the green dragons all day long. Eventually, they
That's
realized that
old
we're
WoW
strong, you're strong.
centaurs.
Maybe we should stop decimating each other's people. We'll make peace. We'll make an agreement. You guys hang out in the groves, and the centaur will hang out in the plains. But now the dragons have been gone for 10,000 years, and the centaur have come so far since then. And they've been here, and they've been existing and developing their culture. They all came over as one clan led by the mighty Maruk and Tira, and they founded a new life here. So if you want to get across,
World of
you have to
Warcraft
follow their
storywriters
rules
and
their
loving
traditions.
putting
You have to earn their
apostrophes
trust.
in every
You are the first
name.
outsiders to come in generations upon generations.
Every
The
name just
centaur
has to
might
be
rule
apostrophed.
the open plains, but the green dragons make their home in the groves, and those groves are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, art
And
team.
How great a
Killing
job
it.
it is that we have where I can take all of this beautiful artwork and build these beautiful fantasy groves, high
Ducks.
fantasy. We want to do lots of things with an open plane, and we want to be creative with that. But we're restraining ourselves by letting the zone sing, letting the horizon tell the story. We certainly couldn't have done that in vanilla WoW.
No, definitely not. The zones are so big, and you can see so far, especially in Ohn'ahran Plains. So we
Yeah,
talked
looks
to the
pretty.
engineers, and we actually increased that distance.
It spurs you on to want to
Another
adventure and
increase
look
in
through the
draw
zone and
distance?
explore everything.
The interesting thing for me is we have.
Thought it was
all
already
this
wickedly
conflicts with
increased.
Dragonflights. There's missing
don't know.
dragons. There's
Huh.
battles. There's so much crazy stuff happening, but that's not really all we're doing. There's so much extra fun activities for people to do. And the greatest thing is that you need to figure out exactly what's going on and help solve all the problems that are just sprouting up everywhere.
We're just really excited to tell a story that's grounded in Azeroth and exploration. There's so much more to talk about. But now,
meet the mighty
about the next 2 zones that players are going to experience in the Dragon Isles.
They're really giving away a lot in these zones right now, I suppose.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate.
I'm Christy.
I'm Kate.
I'm Sean. We're going to talk today about Thaldraszus and the Azure Span. So Azure Span is going to be the 3rd
Yo,
zone
more
that
our
players
team.
venture through, and it's one of our biggest zones that we've done in the Dragonflight, maybe even to date.
We knew it was going to be like the largest visual elevation change, and it really started with this great concept art. When we first
Yeah, that
were
looks
taking a look
incredible.
at
That's so cool.
design, we kept coming back to
It's a little bit
one
How
of
to
our
Train Your
favorite
Dragon, though.
zones, which was Grizzly Hills. And we really wanted to take that, but wowify it more. And I don't know if you've ever been up to the Bay Area, but in the morning, that coastal fog comes in and dips down into the redwoods, and that sun shines through. That's really what we wanted to encapsulate with this forest. And not only we have redwoods, but
And
we've got
big
all
trees,
different
though.
types of trees. Eventually, it'll break open into this wide open tundra that's just golden and red, and you'll reach up
Those
to
kind of
another
Nathria-esque
level of elevation
ish.
where you get to see the snow. The majority of the zone is covered in snow and ice. We have giant frozen waterfalls.
This is all one
ice
zone.
rivers as far as the eye can see. And Sean, I know in the forest, we can expect our first creatures.
We have a small group that lives there called the Gnolls. These gnolls are all throughout the forest and Azure Span.
We've had
They
gnolls
made this
before.
their home. Some gnolls with strange magic that we're going to find out what exactly that's about. Snow gnolls, or as I call them, the snolls, up in the winter area, and then some
Me
regular
as a
gnolls that are just gonna
snoll.
be around the forest area. So then we go into the
Those
big
models
open
are really
tundra,
good.
where we meet our second group, the Tuskarr.
It's going to be really neat to explore their culture a lot more.
And those kids are
We haven't had a
adorable.
Tuskarr village since Wrath, right?
Honestly, all
I
my
think, is that correct?
We hang out with Tuskarr.
Yeah, Grizzly Hills and Storm Hills,
So it's
just
been a little while
yeah.
since you've seen them. We remember the Tuskarr from Wrath of the Lich King.
Environmental
They're also
production,
getting a
usually
nice
one of the
little
first
upres for
things,
their
yeah.
models, along with expanding their culture.
It's always
there
the
are gonna
systems that
be
take a
male
long
Tuskarr,
time.
Female Tuskarr kids. So we're gonna
Male
fight
and female and
alongside
kid
them, which
Tuskarrs?
includes help from a certain group of dragons, the blue dragons. We're gonna follow.
Yo,
the
look at those
story
new
of
models.
Kael'gos,
Oh, look at
our new
Kael'gos.
dragon buddy from the Kirin Tor, and he's gonna be adventuring into Sindragos' archives. It's a giant zone. There's a lot of surprises.
Yo, that Kael'gos got that new drip.
To Thaldraszus.
Thaldraszus.
It's really incredible because you will be going through some of the
Yo,
previous
Journey to
zones,
Atlantis?
a lot of ruins for the dragon buildings. But when
Square
you get
runes
to
and
Thaldraszus,
water?
everything is perfectly intact. It's beautiful.
It's Chad.
pristine.
Chad
It is
Kael'gos.
the seat of power for
Yeah.
all 5 Dragonflights.
Looks
and
great.
Home of the dragons.
I mean, anything
It
looks better than
feels
what it
that
used to
way
look like.
With the huge vertical mountains, we've got these great cave systems where you may end up finding little dragon hordes.
My favorite Dragonflight right now is the Bronze. They've got a really cool area in Thaldraszus, and their magic is time. There's so many cool story hooks that we could dig into.
That's a
there.
dungeon?
There's so many cool gameplay options, and we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
We really wanted it to feel like their old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features is going to be the main city and player hub for this expansion, Valdrakken. It is a
Valdrakken.
culmination of all of the dragon's efforts to put together what a city would
Dragon
look like.
Grease.
So we ended up having a bunch of really fun small vignettes where you can see that the blue Dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green Dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenience services for players, including an auction house in the city, which will be really nice if you're looking for more exotic wares.
Dragon auction house.
The thing
Okay.
that really sold me on Thaldraszus was the initial concept art we got of Tyrhold.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And this is a 10,000-year-old Titan technological marvel. Tyrhold has these awesome aqueducts that actually come out from the structure
Yeah, it's
all
like
the way
Dragon
to the city
Grease.
across the valley. And in the cinematic, there's just this amazing shot where you see Alexstrasza swoop under one of them, and there's splashes of water cresting across her wings.
Yeah, but that's just the
So
that's
when
just
players
the
are flying around
cinematics team
themselves,
showing
they
off
have
there.
their Alexstrasza moment. What
Which
an
is fine.
incredible place and filled with so much history.
Tyrhold was built by Tyr. He was a Titan Keeper back in the day who
Fair enough.
helped the Aspects fight Galakrond. And
Mhm,
when
mhm.
they settled on the Dragon Isles, he built this facility.
That sounds
And
correct.
Even though Tyr's gone, the dragons have held him in reverence. But that was 10,000 years ago, and they've let the Titans maintain the place. An incredible amount of history has happened since then. Lights have been nearly wiped out. There have been invasions, betrayals. Aspects have died. And these are the kind of things that leave marks on a society. So now they're all back here, and they're all here together.
As we were designing the zone and the city itself, we're trying to figure out, how do we tell those stories at the same time as making sure that this is a really convenient place for players to go and, go shopping, as they tend to do. So much adventuring happening on the Dragon Isles.
It's so cool.
As a player, you
They probably had to
don't
make a very
have your own
specific
dragon
call
wings.
that there's an auction house
You are
there.
going to learn the art of dragon riding.
It's so
Because there isn't one in the
I'm just
Shadowlands.
excited to dive off the tops of towers.
makes
and
sense,
swoop
though.
Under things.
It's actually one of the things that we're about to learn about next.
Oh, Dragonflight.
Hi, I'm
No
Jake.
archaeology.
Andy.
I'm Kali.
And I'm Graham, and I'm really excited to talk
From
to you
last
guys today
expansion.
about the Dracthyr Evoker, our new race and class coming in Dragonflight.
Yo, boy on the right
talk
looks like
about not only
Superman.
Evoker, but also dragon riding, which is our exciting expression into the exploration of the Dragon Isles.
We knew with a dragon-themed
Yes, this is a
expansion, we
new
wanted to
new
let you
thing.
play a dragon. Not a big dragon, Alexstrasza size. That'd be tough to fit into raids. I'm sorry, Jake. Okay. I know.
Fine.
But a draconic humanoid. So the Dracthyr, created by Neltharion.
And like our other hero classes, you get to choose if you want to start on the.
Yo, as a film nerd, I'm loving all these different
let's talk a little bit
talking
about
heads
the
with all
Evoker,
the
the class
different
that you
people
What's
from the
unique
different
about it is
teams.
because
So
the
good.
Dracthyr are created by an aspect. They have the ability to wield the magic. Of
Just
all
hearing
five
from
dragon
Ian
types.
all the
So
time
Evokers can
gets a
take
little
advantage
bit
of red magic, blue
regurgitory.
magic, and bronze magic.
And to
But
show
hearing
that,
from the
we
different
created a visual, what we
team
call a
leads
prismatic
and stuff
effect.
is
This
great.
prismatic effect is basically the coalescence of all their energy as they channel it into whatever spell that they're going to cast. You have a red magic spell called Pyre. So when you shoot it out of your mouth, it twirls in the air with all 5 of the Dragonflight's magic as it turns into the red spell before landing on your enemies and exploding and hopefully burning them. And
I'll take that one. Getting that vibe across that they use all 5 was really important to us, but we did want to make sure
Yeah,
that each
that's cool.
specialization focused on 2, because casting 5 different colors gets a bit messy. So their damage dealer specialization, their first of 2, Devastation, mostly focuses on red and blue magic.
So,
red being very
the
fast
caster
and explosive,
has 2
burning everything with
specs.
fire, whereas blue is more focused and overwhelming. You can shoot a beam of energy out of your mouth to disintegrate one single enemy in front of you.
there's a healer spec called Preservation. The healer spec is going to focus mostly on your green
So
and
it's
your
3
bronze
specs,
magic. So
1
your green is
class,
gonna be evocative
2
of the
ranged,
Emerald
1
Dream,
healer.
your growth and
Okay.
your nurturing spells. And then you have your bronze magic, which is going to be more timey-wimey. So you get to heal a wound faster.
So in addition to the visuals and the animation,
Very Heroes of the Storm.
powerful, we really wanted the player to have a physical connection to the cast. We have a new type of spell called Empower.
Ah,
where
this is
when you
also
actually
that
hold
leak.
down the button on your keyboard, it charges up a spell. The longer you
So you
charge
could
it up,
charge
it provides more damage or hit
spells,
more targets
okay.
depending on the spell. But it gives you this really physical connection and control that's new for World of Warcraft, and I think is feeling really, really good.
We
It's gotta have a max
great
charge,
animations. Thank you, Andy.
right?
Your team.
Love it, Andy.
You feel physical when you're casting your
That's
spells.
neat.
You
That's
can
neat.
actually fly around the battlefield and cast while you're flying.
Raining fire and death from above. It's great.
In addition to the gameplay, though, another part of feeling draconic is looking like a dragon.
Well, we talk about dragons breathing fire, but you know what's actually fire?
What's actually
These
fire?
customizations.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, finger guns!
Awesome.
Because you have both your draconic form and your humanoid form.
Like
And
your- like a worgen.
Customization options
Yeah.
for both of them are amazing.
They're very good.
What about color? Just tell me you
tell
can
us about the
change
colors.
color.
You can do a lot of matching. So your visage form can have scales that are the same color as your Dracthyr form.
But
That's
my
cool.
favorite, super favorite part of customization for the visage form, hair.
Yeah.
Because I can actually do this in game.
Yeah.
The tech is here.
We finally did it.
As players make their way through each of the areas of the Dragon Isles, they'll partner up with the Dragonflights to move through the air as they've never done before. You'll
Yeah,
notice
this
I
looks
did not
neat.
say flying because flight has a very specific meaning for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it does.
And we're talking about something new called dragon riding.
And as the players are honing their dragon riding skills, they're going to get to see all new animations that go along with the different.
Yeah, the
look and
animations
feel
are pretty
of the
wild.
drakes.
We're aiming to shake up movement
in
with
like
this new
the
system,
17
providing players
frame
with a
clips
deeper
we get.
immersion with forces like momentum and gravity.
We knew that for Dragonflight, we were going to have the opportunity to show players a whole new set of Dragon Isle Drakes, completely unique from all the other things they've seen in World of Warcraft. And so we wanted to come
So I
up
wonder
with
if
a
it's limited
movement
where you
system
can use it, maybe?
that would add that sense of physics, weight, and gravity, like you were mentioning. We knew it was going to take a huge team effort, not just animation, but it was going to take effects. It was going to take the engineering team, who we rely on heavily, and that combined with some new animations really helps to lend that feeling of physics as you move through the air in ways that you haven't before. And the icing on the cake is going to be some really cool effects that we've added on top of all of that. So for example, when you start hitting, maximum velocity, you're going to see contrails coming off the edges of the wings. And then as you do your rolls and spirals, you build up more and more speed. There's going to be some screen effects on the display to indicate that you're reaching maximum velocity, which really adds to the overall kind of immersion and sense of reality.
As players make their way through the Dragon Isles, they'll discover new cosmetic options to fine-tune their Dragon Isle Drake's appearances. Things like snoots, horns, tails, elusive Dragon Isle Drake armor, and more.
Can I have spikes?
Definitely.
Okay.
We want to provide players
That's
with
neat. That's
all new
definitely how to
skills
train
play
your
with,
dragon.
as those who can use their
Or how to
momentum
dress up your
can
dragon,
reach
I
higher
guess.
and higher heights, and bring on new, more difficult challenges.
We just have
Yeah, you
so
can
many
notice how
new
much slower it
gorgeous
gets
options to choose from,
after that
and
first dive. It
I'm just so
definitely
excited
slows
for all of
down
them.
in the
I'm excited
glide.
for the whole thing. I mean, it's been a lot of fun
Yeah.
to work on, but I can't wait to actually get in the game, play it with you guys.
I can't wait. I can't wait to fly around Dragon Isles. It's gonna be great.
Next up, you're going to hear about the talent revamp and the UI changes coming in Dragonflight.
Very cool. Yeah, the talent revamp is pretty wild. This is pretty extensive, although it'll be cookie cutter, but also
I'm Crash.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Laura. We are very excited to share we are finally revamping the WoW HUD UI.
And
Yeah.
it is also time for a major revamp to talents and specializations.
I have a big
Yeah,
question
yeah.
for the group. How long do you think it took for us to finally revamp the WoW HUD?
My guess is like 15 years.
Close, 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Wow.
You know, technology has changed a lot since we made the UI back in 2004. Now you have like bigger monitors.
The HUD is
and
super
we have
old.
better dev tools to
It's
work
true.
with, so it makes sense to have the revamp right now. Also, if you look at the game today, the art evolved beautifully over the years. And if you look at the HUD looks like it got froze in time.
Yep.
So when we approached
I mean, I
this,
use
we
add-ons,
wanted to
so
create a layout experience that players could customize, move things around, adjust it to
Yeah,
fit their needs.
talents haven't changed in years anyway.
For player customization?
The downside is that not everybody uses them. It's about time that everybody has the opportunity
I'm jealous
to use
of
them,
this
that they
guy's
become
beard.
part of the base UI.
I'm jealous.
And we are working very closely with our user research team to make sure we are hitting the goals that our player needs.
It allowed us to add new functionality to improve accessibility in a lot of areas. And on top of that, we are going to be improving the art.
Yeah, so the art update, it's a big part of
It looks
the
kind of
site.
like base
The UI that
base
we have
elf.
today has a lot
It's
of
clean.
charm and personality, and players have been using that for 18 years. So with that in mind, we want to respect the players who really like the current UI, but do a more than take to it. Removing the clutter and giving more visibility for your gameplay. So the new minimap, it looks bigger, and the health bar is also much bigger. If you look at the
Yeah, it's
action
very
bars
clean,
in the bottom
simple.
menus, they have less head frames, and you can really open
The
up
micro menu
your
is also a
gameplay.
lot more
So you
simplified.
have a lot of your UI in front of you. And
Yeah,
of
it's good,
course,
it's good.
we want to find iconic pieces from the current HUD, but we want to bring it back in a nice way.
I wonder if you can just, like, turn
we
it
for
on and
sure
off or
did the
whatever.
Griffins, they look so nice now. And the Horde, don't worry, we got you. We're going to have your version as well. So let's talk about the edit mode.
We are putting a mode in that will let players move various HUD elements around on the screen. So I'm able to move the mini-map.
That's
say,
a
from the
decade and a
right
half
corner all
late,
the way
but
over to the left corner.
sure.
If I want to bring my action bars from the bottom and kind of put them more in the center. by
The
my
new
character,
quest-
those are all things that I'll
quest
be able to do.
tracker,
Absolutely. And each
very
of those
clean.
different components will have various sets of options that you'll be able to work with.
Looks
They'll
almost
be
kind
able
of
to save it,
Overwatch-esque.
edit it, copy it, name it. Also, it'll remember which spec you're in. So if you're someone who jumps around a lot, as you switch, it will switch to whatever HUD layout you have for that spec.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
an
good,
ongoing
it's good.
project. We're going to keep working on it. So
Yeah,
we really
move
wanna
anything
get back to you.
baseline.
A project that we're all excited about that we've been collaborating.
An add-on that's been around for a decade plus is now part of the base game.
It hadn't changed in a long time, like you said before. And we really started with, how can we have players have more choice over what their character has?
As you level up, we give you a new spell, a new ability, something that kind of makes you stronger, but it's determined by the designers. We decide the order.
Yeah, we started looking for a system that would give players a much wider set of options.
And after looking at all those things, what we really returned.
Yeah, this new talent web is pretty wild. I just wonder if it's a balancing nightmare.
Class utility, and then we have a spec tree that is focused on performing your role, whether that's
I'm not going to pause here. This looks very Star Wars. Like SWTOR does this.
About having trees come
where there's a class tree and a spec tree.
For me, as we said, we have these two trees because we feel like picking a specialization is a really important part of your World of Warcraft character now. And so we want to make sure that when you choose that, it kind of affects the tree in some way.
Yeah, as soon as you open your talent tree, you'll see something new. The class side will have some abilities filled out for free, just kind of starting you off in that spec you've chosen.
Yep, fair enough.
But then you'll have your first point to spend in the class tree, which could be something related to
I wonder how many
spec or
points
role, or
you
it could be
get
something from elsewhere in the class.
if everything costs
There's
one.
a lot of things that we can do here, and part of that is encouraging players to perhaps make combinations that they've never really been able to see in the game.
They're good at balance sometimes.
Opportunity to put a lot more.
So there's just like there's Tree of Life down there. So it's just a it's things you already unlock, but they're just.
Most recent expansions, but not the
I'll go
base
into it
UI.
more later.
We want you to be able to tinker with it. You know, we want you to be able to make a lot of changes at a lot of times and not necessarily have to commit. The power really is coming back to the player. It's not something.
Looks like the talents with the left and right toggles. That's like a multi-selection one. Everything else is a single node.
Kind of frequency that you do now.
Yeah, the old school players, when you
So you
see
basically still
trees this
lock in a
time,
mop
just
talent,
think,
like you
yeah,
saw
I'll go
Typhoon
from a
down
raid
there.
night to my arena match and figure out what I think is the best for both of those.
And that's a process we want to make really fluid. So we're building a save.
Yeah,
load
see, you
feature
see like
that lets
where
you create your build, name
like
it,
Wild
save it,
Charge
and
as
then
well
load it up very quickly.
has the little left and right.
Talents are really about the breadth of options. We've made all these different cool things over the years, but when are they at their coolest? It's when players can hold the building blocks of what can make up their class, their spec, and put them together in a way that works for them.
So these are really cool features that we've
Well,
been
not
working
continuously
long and hard on.
losing
We're very
things,
excited
expansion
about
after
that, and
expansion.
Just an early preview of the things we've been doing. We can't wait to see the reaction that you have to them, and
Yeah,
please
it
reach
looks-
out to us
looks-
and let us know your thoughts on them.
It looks fun.
And next up, we're going to talk about professions and Dragonflight.
There's another big thing. The talent revamp and profession revamp. It depends on if the professions can you make relevant stuff.
I'm Joanna. And I'm Eric, and we're going to talk about our plans for
Profession
professions in
team.
Dragonflight. Professions have been a staple of World of Warcraft forever, and they've seen lots of really cool incremental updates over their life. But for Dragonflight, we want to do something a bit different.
They've been
We really
mostly
wanna
pretty
rethink
useless after the
professions
first couple
and
of
figure out
weeks,
how to
though.
make them part of your identity as a player, if that's what you want.
We really want to make sure that professions feel fun and relevant across all levels of gameplay.
That brings us to our first update, something that we're calling crafting orders.
Yeah, this
If you wanna
sounds
have something
cool.
crafted for you, but you don't have the skill or the right profession to do it for yourself,
This does sound
you can have
cool.
it crafted through a crafting order. You can basically browse any of the recipes that can be crafted.
Yep,
Pick the
yep,
one
yep.
you want for yourself, and then you include some or all of the reagents needed for the recipe, including
Cool.
ones that only you can get your hands on. You can find someone in person to do it right in front of you for you, or you can also
Wonder
go
how
to
that
an
works with
NPC
soulbound
using an auction
mats.
house-like interface. Send the order out. If you're doing this, you can pick. Do you want to send the order to anyone
200
from
gold.
public order,
With the way the
or
game's
you want
inflation is right now.
guild, or to a specific other player?
Missing a
Maybe
couple
friend you
zeros.
know will be able to craft the item really well for you.
If you are really dedicated to your craft, you're going to be the best at what you do.
One of the coolest things about this
That's very
is
Star
the
Wars
item you have
Galaxies.
crafted
I
can
used
also
to
be
do this kind of stuff.
soulbound. In the
Do work
past,
orders.
You could only get your hands on crafted soulbound items by having that profession yourself. Now anyone can have them crafted for them, which is really neat and really expands
That's
the
fun.
number of items
Yeah,
that
that's
we
good.
can provide that are really powerful because everyone can have them crafted through the crafting order system.
This is also really cool because it means as a crafter, you can start building your client base. People are going to come back to you.
Ah,
to get certain
crafting
items. You're the best at
quality.
making it, or you always throw in a little something extra.
5
You're also
stages,
gonna
though?
be
That seems like a
leveling up
lot.
your Profession is going to be really great.
There's
So the
high
first
quality
time
stuff
you go
in
to
Final
craft,
Fantasy.
you're gonna
It's
notice
just
a lot
yes
of
or
different
no,
things,
though.
But probably the biggest is the introduction of
Is or
quality,
isn't high
both
quality.
to your crafted items and your gathered reagents.
Oh, don't go too far with this.
If you craft something that's a higher quality, it's just going to be better. For a piece of gear, that probably means a higher item level. If it's, for instance, a potion, that might mean a more powerful effect at a higher quality.
We're doing a lot of new things in the UI. We've put a lot of
Gotta
work
be
into
careful
it
with
to
this.
make sure that the professions feel really special and unique.
Excuse me.
And another thing you might notice in the crafting UI that's new is the introduction of stats specifically to your professions, both crafting and
I saw it. Yeah,
This is
resourcefulness or
another
something.
major input into quality. Probably the biggest source of your ability to craft items at a higher quality is through crafting specializations. We've had crafting specializations in the past.
They've been in the
as
game in the
far back
past.
as original World of Warcraft. With
Yep.
Dragonflight, you can go out and earn specialization points in a whole bunch of different ways. So maybe you find an old book on a bookshelf in a ruin somewhere, or a hermit in a cave who can teach you a little bit about your profession. So let's say you're a blacksmith, and you might decide that first you want to become an armor smith. And the more points you spend in armor smithing, the better you're going to get at crafting all armor.
This also means that
fine.
if you specialize one way, other people in your guild may specialize in a completely different path. So this means that your
Yep.
guild could have several top blacksmiths.
Just
and
depends
everybody's
on.
providing something
It looked like there were 5
and
levels of
valuable to the
quality,
team, which is really
meaning
cool.
that
Now, that reminds
players will
me
only
of
care about
another
the
update.
highest.
We're actually adding crafting tables to all the different crafting professions. We're going to take those and we're going to put
'Cause
them
the
all in
middling
main city of
tiers,
Thaldraszus, and
why-
you're going to go in there and you're going to get to see
Why have so
all
many
the
levels of
different players
granularity?
crafting their items
Just
at
high
their
quality
full
or
crafting
not.
tables.
Yeah, it means you're going to walk into the city and you're going to see like all these alchemists huddled over here, and you're going to see all these blacksmiths over by the forge. There will be other players filling orders or grabbing orders. There's going to be a whole new crafting area that's going to make you feel really part of.
I mean, that's
the
very
culture.
very
like a much more
RPG-ish
lively
if
area
if
than
it
has in the past.
if
What
it
I'm
works.
most excited about though is the gear. We're introducing new types of gear for every profession, and when you go to say mine and
Yeah,
node,
that's-
you're actually going to just switch into that gear. It's going to be really great.
That's cool.
You're not going to
Cosmetic gear, yeah,
that's
that's cool.
anymore. There's actually going to be dedicated slots for each of your pieces of gear. But
Whoa.
I'm a numbers guy. I love progressing. All pieces of profession gear will have
Armory
those
chest?
special
Question
stats
mark?
that we mentioned before on them. And as you get your hands on better versions of the gear, it's really going to help you get better at your profession.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, they
for tuning into the
Titanforged
Dragonflight
crafting.
We've
Oof.
heard a lot about the content and changes coming in Dragonflight.
Kind of.
and we've got a
It
lot
seems
more in
like
store
that
for you in the
way.
coming months.
Until then, we'll see you in Azeroth.
It did sound like they were Titan forging crafting, which could be just terrible. Is that it? Black screen of doom. That's it. Sorted food. Here we go. So let me see. Is there like an official post up now? Looks like there's an official post up. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. There's the official post up. Yeah, Dragonflight announcement trailer. Announcement trailer for Classic Wrath of the Lich King. The logo is so damn big. I don't know why it's so big. So we can go to the official site. If it doesn't crash. There we go. Very good, very good. There's the beta opt-in. Discover the Dragon Isles. That's the little, that's the cinematic right there. Very cool. So yeah, it looks like the human form, the visage form is just blood elf or whatever. That's fine. And the draconoid form, the Dracthyr form, is definitely scaled off of Worgen to at least begin the skeleton, which they have to because they need to be able to bind armor to it. Although you'll notice the armor that they wear doesn't 1-for-1, I guess, when they transform. I wonder if the dragon armor is not tied to what you're technically wearing, which is helpful for taking a long time to make stuff. And this is the Dragon Rider. This is a cool little applet thing here. Very how to train your dragon. Different ways. It's all the different dragons. This is like a pterodactyl from BFA. But they're just reskinning stuff. This is a wyvern reskin to be a dragon, but they want multiple different combinations of different ways you can have a dragon. This is a proto-drake, obviously. These are all the zone previews for the 4 zones. This is the Dragonriding preview. Very cool. And again, the website looks beautiful too. This is just gorgeous. Very nicely done. New talent system. So this is what we can go over. I wanted to go over this to a moment. How many pictures do they have? 1. Okay. It's just 1 picture. Look down here at the bottom. Can I do open in new wind? Nope, too small. I can go like this. This is what I was noticing in the... when they were talking about it really quickly anyway. So obviously you have passives that lock in. Like this is Rebirth and Stampeding Roar, things you already have baseline anyway. Restoration, also Tranquility and Nature Swiftness, things that you just lock in anyway, right? So then clearly you have loadouts down here, which is really cool, like built-in loadout saving. You have your PvP talents down here, war mode on or off. The UI looks great. This is totally functional, totally fine. These nodes here, like this is where Typhoon is, or where Mighty Bash is, or Wild Charge is, for example. These are the swappables, so they still have the same limiting factors that you currently have in the game, where you can only select one of these major talents. So it's a melding of the current version and an old version. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be just passives. Like this is Thick Hide, right? This is like probably a passive to Iron Fur or something like that, unless you have to unlock Iron Fur. But this is a Restoration Druid, so this is like gonna be like the Thick Hide plus armor passive or something like that, you know? There's gonna be a lot of passive points. People wanted their passive points back. I personally, here's Flourish down here, right? This is a new talent right there. I don't know why people think they need these passive talents. Like your healing spells do 2, 4, and 6% more healing. Neat. I guess it's RPG oriented, but I don't. To me, it just makes me kind of go, it's whatever, right? Because the major nodes are going to go for, if you look, circles looks like probably passives maybe, whereas the blocked squares here, like the octagons, probably are the active abilities, and then the diamonded, you know, the carroted, arrowed, whatever, these are your selectable talents that are also a spell, right? Clearly. I wonder how many talent points you get. We are going to level 70. Quite curious. They did not mention how many loadouts you could have. No. I mean, this is showing loadout 3. So, I don't know. If there's 3, 5, whatever. At least 3, it looks like. So, that's fine. I mean, clearly you'd have like a raid spec and a PvP spec primarily, but then you just reset all talents right here. It's like a just button you press to reset. It looks like there's probably nothing associated with it unless there's a gold cost when you click the button. Who knows? But you just click the button to reset your talents. Big deal. Right? And there was no mention of like a Heart of Azeroth. There was no mention of like artifact power or aspect points or any of that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Very curious. Sort of checking on the social medias. Yeah, I got pinged. Yep. Look at the new Caligos. Yep. I'm aware of the new Caligos. That is correct. Yep. What about my Tinker? Both specs have 24 selected. 24 talents selected. But are you adding the fact that this is 3 points right here, and this is 2, this is 2, this is 3? 2 over here, 2 over here, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, right? So it's not a 1-for-1. Did you add those together as well? I'm just wondering if it's 1 talent point per level. So we'll have 70. Do they start at a certain time? Like, when do you pick your specialization? Is it still level 10? Is it earlier now? One of the leaks was level 5. So is it 1 point per? Is it a scaling point system? Because you're not gonna be able to unlock everything. Right, that's the whole thing, right? This is like the Moonkin aura. This is what this is right here. And then you unlock, like, I guess, Sunfall and Starfire or whatever. So like Moonkin form to be able to toggle in and out of it right here. And there's some cat form stuff over here. Feline swiftness, I suppose, just going off of icons that I recognize. So Is it 65 talent points? Is it more? Do you get extra ones when you hit every level 10? We have no idea of knowing how many points you get. Do the unlocks on the left side, like Trank and Nature Swiftness, these look like they unlocked after you hit a certain point? Part of the reveal. Oh, part of in the reveal VOD here. Let me. It's gonna be so hard to find certain things because they're so quick on the frames. Yeah, I'll have to look and see if there's pictures posted elsewhere, but it might be a point. Yeah, there was no Dragon Covenant nonsense. There was no borrowed power sounding stuff. There very well might be. Nothing on the actual website about it. So new level cap, new raid, new dungeons. That's, as you might expect. There's some cinematic stills here. Are there other images from the... Okay, adds 4 more. Okay. That's really it. There was a question earlier if I'm going to be doing class preview stuff. I don't know. I don't know if I will get beta access or not. Who knows? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to do that again. I did it for many, many years. I think, covering things in sort of like a passing brush stroke might be okay. Like talking about news updates and stuff, but I don't know. I might experience this just from a player standpoint for the first time since Warlords of Draenor. Since I did big coverage for Warlords, Legion. I technically started in Mist of Pandaria, but it wasn't the same way. BFA, Shadowlands. So, but I've also learned a lot since then, and I would probably make a lot shorter videos than I used to. But pretty cool little first look. Well, this just pops up. Yeah, okay. So this is an example of the new charge up abilities. So plenty of the leak stuff did come through as relatively real-ish. Only, some parts of it, obviously. That leaked picture of the screenshot here, I believe. So this was real. So yep. It just sucks, kind of. Like, it's cool to go over leaks, and we opened the stream today with an hour of just looking at leaks for fun. But it really wasn't, obviously you have no idea what's real or not. But what does turn about when you realize that they were real is that they were either things stolen by PR agencies or from employees posting stuff, obviously breaching NDA, and it does kind of suck, that is for sure. These little oh, okay, just like a little applet video showing off what they have worked on so far. Examples of the caster and healer, because the Evoker, not Invoker, but Evoker, has a range DPS and a healer. It's a range DPS and a healer. So first range DPS added in game's history, literally in 18 years. And you can, of course, seek to forge your own path in Azeroth, willing to fight for the Horde or the Alliance. But again, it's cross-faction play coming in the next patch. So really, no matter what faction you play on, you can still do dungeons and raids outside of Mythic to a certain degree, I imagine, or ranked PvP. New intro experience, of course. And they look cool. Models look cool. I just imagine they might have a different rigging system for armor. I don't know if all of our regular armor is going to work on them because they have a totally different head structure. The body structure might work just fine. But yeah, so Evokers can fight from mid-range with claws and fiery breath attacks, devastation, or draw upon the life-giving magic of renewal to bolster their allies, preservation. So it's sort of maybe a melee caster hybrid, but it did sound like they went through that there's 2 DPS talent trees and 1 for healing. So that might be more of like a melee caster and more of a ranged caster, because it was a fire one and the frost or arcane one, which just makes it think maybe there's more of like an AoE build and a single target build for your caster damage, and then your healer is just the one-off. It's a cool way to it's a cool way to introduce a new race and class, because it's also sectioned off to not interfere with the current class paradigm of balancing. Yeah, not only has dungeons but also dragons. True, there are ducks. Yeah, is there a picture of the ducks? You may have been AFK with the baby. There's no picture of the ducks, at least not in the cinematic shots here. And there, I have no idea how I can. They show ducks off in this section, I want to say, when they had the 4 squad on, the first one with the UI team. It's going to be just scanning at 5-second intervals is not going to be enough unless I get lucky and land on the ducks. There they are, ducks. Owned. We got there, owned. There they are. Ducks in World of Warcraft. There you go. The meme has become a dream, and that dream is now a reality. There you go. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Ducks. Yep, there we go. Let me freeze frame on that. Ducks. There you go. Guessing it's 2 specs, but just different routes down the talent tree you can go. That could be also true. It could be like it, because it's called what? Was it destruction and preservation? So destruction magic could just have, depending on if you go more left side or right side of the tree or something. Yeah. But then destruction will have one main tree, but then it'll have like the left or right. It looks like these are kind of, there's a lot of like basic core stuff down the middle, but then it's very specific on right or left. Because if you look at the druid tree anyway, for restoration, usually the main synergy has been guardian, to have the guardian stuff, like the resilience and the tankiness, but then way on left is obviously cat stuff, and way on right is clearly boomkin stuff. Although it does look like typhoon and monsoon or whatever are separated potentially, or this is just a passive to increase radius or something. But Star Surge is right here, right? Potentially, because again the boxied ones look like spells, circles are passives, and the arrowed ones are essentially the current talents where you select one and lock it in. But yeah, a little more balanced druid on this side, a little more feral druid on this side. So potentially for other, if you're a feral druid, right, you'll go more like middle left potentially. And if you're a guardian druid, you might also go middle left. Because I wonder if the druid points are the same for all. And then the restoration is what changes if you go between feral, guardian, or balance or restoration. Very much could be what it is. Yeah, see this one, it shows you right here that it's a selection before you unlock it. So the right and the left is 2 different pictures. Like this is a Tree of Life and something else on this side. The image is cut in half so you can choose one or the other, which is what you do now. Flourish is down here. What is Flourish with on the talent trees currently? You know, it might have the same exact options. Flourish and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So, single most important thing to take away from this expansion reveal, you can finally make a turducken or turducken in Azeroth. Oh my gosh, make it a cooking recipe, you cowards. A turducken. You can make a turducken. So the crafting stuff, this looked cool at first glance when they were talking about it on the opening segment, but if you can see here in the corner, there's clearly quality of ingredients, and they're doing like a bronze, silver, gold quality, and then I guess they have a diamond quality. That's risky, man. There's Final Fantasy 14 did this, and hopefully they get the feedback from this in the beta cycle, is one of the things that actually got patched out of Final Fantasy 14, because they had qualityed ingredients that were just normal quality, high quality. And obviously, high quality, you got less of as you were gathering, so less of them permeated the marketplace, but then you basically... the market didn't care about low quality mats. They were dead. No one would ever use them. You always care about high quality. So what they did in the last expansion, going from Shadowbringers to Endwalker, is they just removed mat quality from gathering specifically. Now when you gather, you just get more of them. There are ways to randomly get high quality materials, and they help you out in crafting, kind of, but they're nowhere near as important as they used to be. This, because clearly it looks like we have a 5 tier, because we're at diamond quality now. We have, you know, bronze quality here, silver, gold, diamond, and then, I don't know, ember, legendary quality, whatever. Right here, it's a lot of granularity between multiple tiers of crafting, which, if it's gear based, you'll only ever care about the highest quality, which is something you can definitely strive for. There's a positive there. But if it's also material based, it can cause a lot of issue if stuff is so rare that it's frustrating and annoying to craft. Granted, if you are a crafter and you want to be a crafter, shout out to Div if he's hanging out in the chat right now, who has been doing so much crafting in Final Fantasy 14, like hours and hours of it every day. It can be something you really spend a lot of time in if you really enjoy it. It's great. It's just, this makes me weary that this is essentially Warforging and Titanforging of both crafting materials, and the outcome clearly is determined linearly by your materials you put in. There's some optional reagent here. I imagine you have your own passives if you are a crafter. This is still kind of like what Star Wars Galaxies used to do. I remember sitting around in Mos Eisley Spaceport crafting people's like med kits and stuff, and combat medicines and combat drugs or whatever the hell back in Galaxies. But I would be traded stuff. I would craft them and give them back to them. You know, that's kind of that. It does increase the community orientedness of it potentially, but it also can create a dearth of, I don't care about anything besides, you know, tier 5 materials if they go that high, and then of course tier 5 end resulted stuff, so that all your other crap on the way up is crap. Like there's no point. And what that just means is that it makes it very grindy. So yeah, so what about health potions? Might be one area where the lower quality are used, like you use basic potions for farm, save the higher qualities for prog. Well, that still means you would only care about, potentially, if the difference is not enough, you care about garbage quality potions, and then top quality potions, and then tier 2, 3, and 4 are just dead, right? So why even have 2, 3, and 4? Which is what 14 did. It was just high quality and normal quality. There's still high quality, normal quality in the game right now. There are DPS potions. They're called tinctures in FF. And the difference in high quality and normal quality is 2% stats. 2%. So it's 8% of a main stat buff with the low quality and 10%. But all we ever buy for raiding, Savage, Extremes, Ultimates, whatever, all you buy is the 10% ones. You don't buy the 8%. Granted, they also don't get posted very often because there's no point. You only want high quality potion, because why would you just not want 2% more stats? And you buy them in giant stacks of 99, and they'll last you weeks. So this is a tentative from me right now. This is the part. This is a weird Titan forging and war forging materials can be good, but it also can be really annoying. But I also went back on what I said earlier. If they remove certain parts of the game's awkward grindiness and keeping you logged in for things, optional community MMO-ish systems like this could be where they replace them, because yes, Mia, there are ducks. Here are your ducks for you. There are your ducks. Quack. So many of the systems in my preamble before the reveal started was that World of Warcraft has all these systems that just keep you playing month after month, drip feeding you loot, drip feeding you upgrades, keeping you logging back in on Tuesdays. They keep you as an MAU. And there's good parts of that if the systems are at least rewarding for the player, so you want to play more, or nickel and dimes you for your time and gets really obnoxious. And that's what the game has definitely felt like lately. I mean, I stopped playing before the new raid came out, but it was another tier of upgrading your legendaries and more Torghast runs and another daily zone, which apparently isn't as bad, but it's still just, you know, it's the plight of a video game where developers are just trying to make you do the same thing over and over again without realizing that you're doing the same thing over and over again, right? That's just part of playing a video game. You can distill many games. I'm doing the same thing over and over again, but at least it's fun. So, but there's nothing on here anywhere of artifact power or an AP system. Also, this logo looks way better than the leaked one. So leaks are whatever, but this looks way better. This Dragonflight logo looks so much better than the stuff that was leaked. I mean, it's neat. It's new World of Warcraft stuff. I don't know if it's enough to sway a bunch of people in at least my corner of the internet that were definitely enjoying and playing it, but it just got to the point where a lot of it came down to it was just loot taxing, man. You do all your Mythic Plus for the week, you clear your raid for the week, you log in on Tuesday, you get nothing. You clear your raid, you get nothing. Fun interactive gameplay. I've given you a portion of my weekly sub. It doesn't break down that way, but you know what I mean, like your time for it, and you get nothing out of it. I mean, if I'm playing with your friends, it's great, but if you don't progress your character, which is so much of how World of Warcraft is all about power. It's all power grind. It's all so much power grind, which again, that's why the profession stuff seems kind of neat, where it's an alternate path for player progression if you really enjoy crafting and gathering. This is still going to be way simpler than it ever is going to be in 14. In 14, when you gather and craft, which you could tune in and watch a live stream when I'm playing 14. We'll be playing 14 this Friday again, right here on the channel. If you want to stop by, all the streams are right here. We hang out for like 3-4 hours, but there are rotations and buffs and procs. It's a full-fledged like in-game system. In this, you hit a rock, right? Right? And then you hit the create button and you're done, right? How many do you craft? Boom. It's so much simpler. It just usually requires so many more materials, but then I say that and the new set of armor, Destora and Div's already done it. Thaldraszus working on it right now, where the new set of armor in 14 takes hundreds of materials across the board. Just so much stuff because you're making a whole new set of armor. But it's a whole rotational thing, and it's not how WoW crafting is. So if this is one way they can like inject something more into that system, that seems fine if you're into that whole thing. Yeah. Best idea would probably be to give each profession a way of adding sockets to some pieces of gear, like tailors made for cloth gloves. Socketing was cool back in the day. I said before, socketing should be a controlled, crafted thing, not random. We'll see. It's funny how beta content creators hyped the crap out of Torghast. In the end, it became this. The problem with Torghast was that it became so much, and it changed a lot. I have an old Torghast video on my channel right here, where it was during beta, and it was definitely different than what it turned into, for sure. The problem with Torghast is we thought it wouldn't be so required for the weekly currency grind, or that you wouldn't have to do so much of it, because it eventually became very samey and very repetitive. And I guess it's gotten a little better now. There's a new boss rush mode boss rush that I've seen at least James do on stream. Seems pretty fun. But yeah, it became way more mandatory. And I liked it when it was harder, when it was more difficult at start, and then they nerfed the crap out of it to be quite easy, and it just becomes boring. Your first floor was hard, you know, a little bit. Don't pull everything. You get like 7 or 8 powers, then you mass pull everything and you get all down and move on. Right? It became no strategy, no risk reward. It barely became something that was difficult. So, but that's, I was a Mythic Raid player, so at least that's where my experience in the game primarily lays, right? So, or lands, or is curated in. So I imagine it's different for different people, but they've nerfed the crap out of it. That's for sure. Still, why you love Warlords of Draenor. Could log in, hop on for raid, log off for a week. Yeah. But you still pay as much sub as anyone who plays 24/7. Yeah. I think Blizzard burned any faith or interest you have in them and their products years ago. No matter if this looks good, is good, I'm not coming back. Well, you don't pre-order. The long and short of a new expansion, especially in the current state of World of Warcraft, is you don't pre-order. You can, you know, absorb some more content that comes out during the beta testing cycle. You know, I'll see if I can get coverage for you guys here and there, but it's not going to be my main priority, just because I've given half my life to World of Warcraft, and if a bunch of my friends and community members want to play, we'll see if we have a small group maybe wants to do dungeons and stuff, do the initial launch experience. That's normally pretty fun. We'll see. But a lot of it is, if it's still the same loot style system and it still takes you weeks, if not months, to feel like you really progress your character, then that's just not what I'm looking for. Because that's just I'd rather play other games. Play Warhammer, play Final Fantasy, you know, play other. There's so many games out now. The real estate for the competitive nature for your time real estate with all these games is so rough now. There are so many games competing for your dollar and your time. And it's tough if WoW is still like, yeah, it'll take you 6 months or 6 weeks to learn flying when the new zone comes out after a year. Like, if it's the same kind of old stuff like that, it's going to just blah. The game can look beautiful as illustrated by these screenshots. It looks great. Environmental team always crushing it. But again, if it's still personal loot, if it's still weird trade restrictions, if it's still Great Vault stuff and all these things you have to do to unlock the gear, which, you know, play the game to get the gear, I get it, but still, how many weeks of the whole box of disappointment is still a thing. I see James's tweets. I see James tweet. He posts his pictures of his Great Vault. Mutton is sending me a message real quick here. Got some preliminary art coming out, looks like. Let's see. Blizzard has real concept art for the upcoming Primalist Raid tier set for all 13 classes. So tier sets are moving forward. Let me just open these images real quick. I mean, art is cool. Tier sets, dragony, elementally, crystally. It's just concept art. It's neat and all, but I can't give me my tab. So obviously, like, you know, a different difficulty is a different color. That's cool. But the last armor sets were pretty disappointing. The tier sets that everyone was hoping for were going to be so good. And then the fan concept was so much better. Like concept art is great. I mean, the artists that work on World of Warcraft are some of the best in the entire industry. There's no denying that. They are absolutely phenomenal, the work they do. It's normally always, it just comes down to systems. Like, this could be Mythic because of like different crunchiness or whatever. I don't know. It always comes down to systems. It's always systems. How you engage with the game. This talent system revamp is going to really be something that players are going to like. For sure. I'll whatever. It's neat. So many of the things are just gonna be passives. What I was going to button hook back on the talent system thing is I was bringing it up before in my Shadowlands. Why don't all those weird hidden passives that are obscured from players, just a talent, if they ever redid the talent system? So I wonder if that's where all these things are going to be, right? A lot of those weird passives, you know, is that weird haste bonus for feral druids right here or right here. The one weird one that isn't communicated to the player at all, and you don't know about it unless you know about it kind of thing, and it's just part of the math. Which part of you can say, why do I care if it's there or not? But also, that's a part of your character's power growth. Why don't you know about it? People flip their collective shit for, oh, 1% crit. That's the meme. Because some of the talents back in the old day, and you can look at the ones that are in Classic WoW and Burning Crusade, and soon to be in Wrath to some degree. 5 talent points for 5% crit. Oh my god. Incredible RPG character growth. Yes, it gives you some power, but what does that really do? Make number go big sometime more often. Yay. Right? So, but really, that's just the defining factor of WoW has always been talent trees. So I wonder if this is going to be some bridging of the gap, where obviously the mop style current ones are here and here and here, you know, these arrowed ones. And then all those, you know, what if this is 3% crit right here or 6% crit? Sure. So you can appease both audiences. You have the passives in there that people like, those, that granular RPG, D&D style character sheet progression, and keep the big selection point ones. You know, is this D-Curse? You have to talent into D-Curse? So what if you just skip D-Curse? I can see that. I can't imagine that's actually D-Curse. But yo, Philip, why you aren't decursing? I didn't spec into that one, Dave. I don't like it. Ruins my experience. I don't want to decurse. Like, what the hell? You know? It could be. I don't know. It's just the decursed little icon. It's also the disenchant icon. So what if it's, you know, totally something different? Who knows? But it's always just how you interact with the game. What's funny, new patch for Final Fantasy 14 came out, and yeah, he's talking about 14 again. It's just where I'm comparing the two games, right? Because there was definitely some 14 stuff in here. The new profession revamp, definitely a little bit 14 inspired. They didn't talk anything about like min eye level backwards compatibility stuff, but that is kind of what's happening in the next season, because they're bringing forward old dungeons, at least to the new story. So what if they're going to have that as like a different thing when they do with seasonal stuff, right? But there's comparative points that they have to notice, because they're on the back foot now. World of Warcraft is by number volume way lower in player base than 14 now. But it's the one thing you start realizing when you play 14. A, you can either love or hate the story because it's the core of the game, which is so different than World of Warcraft. Very different. But it's getting rewarded for your time. Crafted gear matters. It's a huge stepping stone. And every single week you raid in that game, you are progressing your character. Every single week. It's just part of how the game works. There is no kill 12 bosses, get nothing in Final Fantasy 14. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. Every boss you kill, you get the tome and 4 pieces of loot or 5 pieces of loot, or like 2 pieces and 3 upgrade materials drop every boss for 8 people. So it's very high probability you get something off of each boss as well. So that's the biggest thing that connects people, is player progression, character progression. And in World of Warcraft, it takes so damn long sometimes. Clearly, that's where my passion in this connection point is. It's if it takes you 2 months to feel like your character is finally Biss, that's a really long time, man. And that's not even counting how many hours you put in leading up to that 2-month window. That 8 weeks of doing, what is it now? Is it 7 or 8 Mythic Plus max level keys? Like, it's like 20s now. It's a lot if you care about progressing your character's gear. And then you get those 3 doors, you get to pick one thing, and what if it's still bad? There is a catch-all coming soon where you can turn in stuff for better currencies or for the new tier 2nd version, but that wasn't in at launch. So it still sucks for months when you're doing it right now, right? It keeps you playing. But I've played so much Final Fantasy 14 because I wanted to, because I wanted to work on the side quest stories. I wanted to work on my professions. I wanted to work on getting some stupid TV mount. It's Willy Wonka. You're shrunk in a little TV thing. Again, you can see me flying around in it on stream all the time. I wanted to do these optional things because I knew I could get them. And that's the biggest separation point. I've played more of the game with deterministic rewards. I played a lot of World of Warcraft, but man, you go week after week after week of nothing, it starts to really drain on you. And not even weeks now, it's been years. Years of it. Slow drip feed keeps you active, keeps you playing, keeps you that monthly active user, keeps you subscribed. It's like a really, really, really high-class mobile game. And that's the biggest thing I wonder if they're going to figure out in Dragonflight. I think rewarding your players for the time they put in, regardless of how much time that is, should be a big thing and a big part of the game. You should want players to play for a few weeks, maybe every patch, and not for months between every single one of them as you drip feed them rewards. But we'll see. That's the biggest thing for me. That's the biggest thing for me. Obviously, there's a huge problem with Activision Blizzard right now, and if you want to support Bobby Kotick, that's why I unsubscribed. I don't want that to go to him and his cronies and stuff. There's a petition, or there's a stance coming out now with investors about not, or voting against the Microsoft purchase, because they don't want the executive to be rewarded for what's happened at this company for the past, I don't know, 15 years. And if you don't want to support that, it's totally within your right. If you want to play WoW, you can play WoW. If you don't have to. It's totally up to you. So yeah. Let's see if they change combat or bar bloat. You talk about I mean, I don't think they've really got to change that. I mean, you might have less abilities depending on how you, but this is like a default UI update for the new UI anyway. On I love the mini map and the bag stuff. This is gorgeous. Let me make a bigger, let me open this in a new tab. Like, this is actually, it's gonna get a little pixelated, but this is great. It's really nice. I mean, obviously they're gonna do more iteration on it, of course, but this is the default bar for, I don't know what level we are here. We're level 60, it looks like. Yeah, 60. Obviously you've got like some, this is your guys for Mrs. Dragonflight probably, and this is a Hearthstone in your mount. So you've only got a bar and 70% of another bar full of abilities, right? So there you go. That's WoW's difference in combat though. WoW stuff is a lot of just hit buttons and procs. It doesn't have the same regimented stuff as 14. That's a totally other topic, by the way. Good lord. How Final Fantasy 14 combat is both harder and easier than World of Warcraft. It's slower, kind of, but also you can totally fuck up your rotation so bad in that game. You really can't in WoW. Very different. It's action combat versus MMO combat. But I love this. Nice, and look at these new little buttons and icons. It's really good. This is, I guess, this is the new map targeting thing. There's like a little map thing up here. Your calendar. That looks great. There was a screenshot during the or an image during the trailer. It's way back here. I'm not gonna be able to find it, I doubt it. Where you can see like the quest interface. And the quest interface looked really nice. Just really, really clean UI update. I mean, it's gonna be like a huge compendium of screenshots, probably by MMO Champion or Wowhead or something. Yeah, this is basically the same one we just had from the website, so nothing there. This is only 5-second clips. Yeah, it's down here when you move everything around. I guess that's not the UI. That's the same thing by the map. So not the quest log. I thought that was the quest log at first, but yeah, same kind of thing. I'm sure you could probably turn on your health and your actual text if you want those on there, but this is a very common way that you position stuff in World of Warcraft now with your left and right targeting frames. So, but I mean, I don't know, button bloat, whatever. There's only so many spells you know in World of Warcraft, and it depends on if this how this system works in translating how many spells you have compared to now. You know? I don't know. That's been at least a lot of talking about, reacting to, and just discussing the new World of Warcraft Dragonflight. That's that. And it's that for the recorded section. I think we'll ramble a bit more on stream for a bit, but that's that. So if you've been hanging out today, appreciate it. Hitting the like button or the subscribe button. Both helpful buttons. Cost you nothing but a little bit of time. And it lets the algorithm know that you enjoyed hanging out today. Chit-chatting about the next WoW expansion, 10.0. Looking at almost 20 years of World of Warcraft soon. My goodness.